Our lives are so filled with abundance. It's hard to see the actual rails that keep us on the path that we're on or that we want to be on. There's so many little things that distract us because they're abundant. A lot of people may not live in abundance. It's something that I try to do because it's a good thing. It keeps you in a good mind space. But the abundance can also be a distraction. Having too much abundance of certain things can create such a focus on those things. Having an abundance of food is a good thing. But then you end up gorging yourself until you weigh 300 pounds. Having abundance of women, you feel real validated, you feel great about yourself. But you end up catching a sexually transmitted disease or never actually progressing with any one of them to the point to where you actually feel fulfilled. It's just self-indulgent pleasure. Having an abundance of money, an abundance of content to watch, it doesn't make you happy. It just keeps you distracted. But abundance can be good. It can be great. Because it can really solve a lot of problems in your life. Well, it depends on what you classify a problem. You know, an abundance of women can make you feel real good about yourself until you realize that not a single one of them is actually worth entertaining. An abundance of content you can learn a lot of things, and you realize that you haven't applied a single thing that you've learned. The inner workings of your mind are drowned out by the noise. I think the only thing that really is truly good in abundance is time and music. Yeah, time and music. Because even an abundance of peace can bring about an unsettling feeling where there's not any friction for you to overcome. So then it still blurs the rails of the path that we're on. But abundance of time, you can, and even so, maybe that's not good. Because you look at the trope of the vampires or the gods, that they've lived for so long that they wish they were human. Because at least being human is romantic, because every moment that you live is worth something. Because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. And that you will pass on, which makes it all more meaningful. Abundance of music, I think, is pretty good, because you can always find a soundtrack to your life, soundtrack to the day. I can't find anything wrong with abundance of music. Listening to the wrong music can be bad, and too much of it can be bad. But what am I getting at? I'm getting at addiction. I think, personally, I'm addicted to everything. But I like to believe I'm a high performer, and I'm very driven, and that I have high standards that are very rigid, and those standards create a foundation that, in theory, is unshakable. And how that relates to addiction is being addicted to potential. Because, like I said, I think I'm an addict of everything. I'm an addict to feeling good, activities, people, and potential. Whenever I see potential in something, I'm very excited about it. I see potential in the YouTube channel. I see potential in people. I see potential in the business that I'm starting. see potential in the time that I'm spending being time well spent because of the potential. And I think, being an addict to feeling good or activities, they tend to keep you coming back because they feel good. But at a certain point, they stop feeling good because it's more of the same. But when those activities, when they change, it doesn't feel as good. When you get used to it, it doesn't feel as good. The drugs, when you get a tolerance, they don't work as well. When you get a lower quality substance, it's not as good as it was before. And you're let down. Just like if a person changes, you're let down. And it's not that it's not okay for them to change. It's just that your expectation is not what it was. And it's the same way with all of the points that I'm talking about: drugs, activities, people, businesses, potential as a whole. It's a reward prediction error. And it makes you second guess your time spent. You say, did I really spend all of my time getting high? Did I really spend all of my time learning all of those tricks, skateboarding? Did I really spend all of my time building a business that has failed? Well, it felt good. It felt great the whole time. But there's a lack of reward because you thought you were well positioned for the potential. And when you circle back around to it, you're almost beside of yourself. But that doesn't mean it was a bad thing. It's likely very good. The key is that we learn from those experiences and we adjust our behaviors and our investment level to not be let down at such the level that we were. You break your arm skateboarding, you break your leg, you pull a hamstring. You spend all of that time learning all those tricks. You got really good at it. You got a sponsorship. You started building a career. And then it all goes away because you can no longer perform. You feel like you've wasted your life. But you're addicted to the potential. What could have been. And that's okay. Because now you know. You know what you're capable of. And you know what you want. And understanding what you want and the level of progress that you're capable of, the commitment to the potential. You can then, instead of putting all of your eggs in one basket, you can spread your eggs around. Maybe some of them hatch, maybe some of them don't. But it's to not look at the time as wasted, but to learn the lesson from the time spent. And there's a lot of value in that. And that's to look at, like I was talking about yesterday, excellence isn't something that you can assess upon yourself. That excellence is an evaluation that you're given after the fact by other people. And looking at the time well spent and your pursuit of excellence not as a something for you to achieve in real time, but as a path that you're working towards. It takes away the pressure because there is a human element. I know I'm very high strung and I'm a bit idealistic, but it's created systems around me, behaviors, thought patterns that have proven me well over time. It's a good thing. But if I'm too rigid in those pursuits, then I lose the potential for something great. Because instead of identifying a flaw in the foundation and correcting the foundation, I deconstruct the whole skyscraper. And that's not a good thing. So I learn from the foundation. I learn from the experience. You apply that lesson to your life and adjust your behaviors, your circumstances to have a better outcome at a later date. It's all very good. And at the core of what you're doing is you're turning every negative into a positive. And instead of letting it dictate the outcomes of your potential, you're shaping those outcomes, and then you are applying them in such a way that they become a positive modifier to the end goal. It's the only way. If you get hung up on the reward prediction error, that thing didn't work out, if you get hung up on the lack thereof reward, then you stop dead in your tracks. The rails of the path that you're headed in will become blurred, just as abundance will blur them. The having too much good, having too much of anything will keep you in a complacent state. You'll be stuck because you have so much of this thing that it consumes you, and you become the thing rather than you becoming whatever it is that you want to become. And if you maintain the trajectory, and instead of being consumed by the abundance, being consumed by the reward or the lack thereof, then you can continuously apply your lessons, apply yourself in ways that you had never imagined before. Not everything is bad. I would actually go as far as to say there's nothing necessarily bad. It's just the way that we perceive it. And our perception is that this thing is against us and it has not served us. But in reality, if you really look at it, it's serving you in exactly the way it needs to. Because it's positioning you into a more equipped state. It's a very good thing. In my eyes, it is. So don't be distracted by the abundance, and try to stay as far away from the addiction as you can. We're all susceptible to it. In moderation, things can be good, but nothing is good in excess. Attention, money, food, drugs, video games, activities. Nothing is good in excess. It consumes you. So, on your path to becoming, do not be consumed by the perceived ups and downs of the abundant path. Continue forward. Day 3. Day 5. We're on a good path. You're on a good path. If you like what we've been talking about, leave a comment and tell me, what it is that you've had in abundance that hasn't served you, that you've been in service of. Everyone has the story. You had too much of something and it actually ruined you instead of positioning you in a better way. You spent too much time chasing after something or investing in how the lessons that you have learned. Let me know about that. And if you've been enjoying the videos, leave a like on the video. That'd be pretty cool. I appreciate it. We're going to turn this into something real. It's going to take time, but we are committed. So, show up in the comments. I'm going to make a Discord at some point. I don't know when. Maybe I'll get my homie too. He's real good with that stuff. And, subscribe to the channel. But be on the path. But do not be distracted or let down by the reward prediction error. The reward is the journey. You're on your way to becoming. Remember, no excuses, only results, alright? Y'all take care. Have a good rest of the night.